Hi, and welcome to Mark's Motivational Podcast for another Authors Tuesday. So today I'm delighted to be joined by another great Natasha Shadman. That's correct, isn't it?
Yes, you got it
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Perfect.
So I had the pleasure of seeing her performing her own poetry at an open mic there last week, which was amazing. You're going to love her poems. She's going to share some of her poems tonight. So you're very welcome along today, Natasha. Thanks a lot for joining me.
Oh, thank you. It's a pleasure. Really, it's absolutely a pleasure, Mark. Like, it was great
Yeah,
meeting you. And yeah, I feel
yeah.
honored to be here.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks so much. So we'll probably start off the podcast. Can you tell the listeners a little bit about yourself and what type of poems you write yourself?
Yeah. So I'm a writer. I've worked as a writer all my life, sort of more commercially, I suppose. And
Yeah.
even though I dabbled in poetry when I was a child, it was
Mm,
only recently, sort of, and quite recently, really, like the last couple of months that sort of poems started coming to me. That's the best
yeah.
way I can describe it. And
Mm,
I think as I sort of grow as a person and become more aware of, the things that are holding me back in life, and
mm,
also looking at nature and the way that and what we can learn from the world around us.
mm,
And sort of questioning things about, what I might think that might not be quite true or might not be quite helpful.
mm,
Things like that. Like, and so that really does inspire my work. So I'd say the best way I could describe my poems is just like an expression of what I learn and discover about myself and the world. And I
mm,
give them to people, from my heart to yours. As a gift, like I said. And if it strikes a chord, then fantastic. If it doesn't, then that's fantastic too. But yeah, so that's sort of the best way I could describe it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that's brilliant, Natasha. Brilliant, because I had firsthand, like as I said earlier on, your poetry is amazing, really, really good.
Oh,
And, and when did the writing start for you? When did the journey start as a writer yourself? You said it there that you've
all my
always been
life.
a writer.
Yeah, all my. So you know what? I was actually quite lucky in life that I remember watching TV when I was a child, and I remember thinking, I love writing advertising. So like that was sort of, I remember watching ads when I was on TV and feeling
Yeah.
like I want to write things or market things. Communications was always like the ballpark. Um like always, which is quite rare, I think. But anyway, so my whole career I've been in marketing communications, and I've just gotten clearer and clearer over my life as to what I want to market, and to focus
Mm,
on more sustainability projects and stuff like that.
yeah.
But that sort of then transitioned to like, well, what about creative writing? What about
Mm,
more free flowing writing? And it
yeah.
just, like I said, it just sort of transitioned from there. So I've always been in communications, but it's only recently that I've started to really, like I said, channel it more sort of create, yeah, more openly, more creatively, more personally, should I say, writing
Yeah.
for me, and writing about me versus writing for other brands and organizations.
Great. Yeah. So that's brilliant. Like you're doing a job. Like, it's something you love. Like you're getting to do your passion, which is great.
Yeah, yeah, I feel very yeah, very very lucky to sort of, yeah, discovered what I love to do and what I
Mm,
feel is a skill that I can channel to things that benefit people. I
mm,
feel very lucky to have discovered that. I know it's frustrating sometimes, I think, when you feel like you can't, or you don't know what what you're good at, or that you're good at lots of things and you're not really sure how to, where to channel it
mm.
and how to channel it. So
Yeah.
anyway, it's been a journey for me too. It's not like, how do I write, where do I write, who do I write for, all that stuff.
Mm.
But anyway, right now I'm at a point where, yeah, I feel very nice about what I'm writing and what I'm sharing, so that feels good.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
brilliant. And I'd love you to share one of your poems you did there live last week. The one about travel when you traveled to Galway. I just thought it was a really good, really nice poem.
You'd like me to share that one?
Yeah, if you're happy to do that, that would be great for
Yeah.
people. Yeah.
The one that was about the clouds.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, you like
Yeah,
that
yeah,
one? Okay, no
yeah.
problem. All right, I'll just find that one. Okay, here it is. Okay, yeah, no problem. Okay, so this one's called
Yeah.
Clouds.
Thank you. Real free for the listeners. Great stuff.
Yeah. On this Galway bus ride, I stare out of the glass, and there in the sky, I, you drifting past. This may be quite obvious, but I never knew that all of my wanting lifts when I look at you. I want to tell universes, you are my source. When my waves are crashing, you are my shore. The deepest breath, the clearest step, the longest rest can't compare to the peace that my soul feels when I see you floating there. Silence comes simply. Thoughts lose their need. As I see you morphing, I am finally free. Endless movies you make in open air. No matter what manifests, you are always there. I want to tell universes, you are my source. When my waves are crashing, you are my shore. The deepest breath, the clearest step, the longest rest can't compare to the peace that my soul feels when I see you floating there. Brush strokes blowing, cotton buds growing into lands of shining white, grey, and silvery strands. Without thinking, you drift across the blue before you drift again into something new. I want to tell universes, you are my source. When my waves are crashing, you are my shore. The deepest breath, the clearest step, the longest rest can't compare to the peace that my soul feels when I see you floating there.
Wow, that is incredible. Brilliant. That is great. And like,
Oh,
and the speaking as well is brilliant as well. There's so much feeling and so much passion. It's really, really good. Thanks a lot for sharing with everybody.
it's a pleasure. Thank you so much
Yeah,
for giving me the opportunity to. I love it.
yeah, yeah, it's
This is
great.
what I love to
And
do. So it's a pleasure.
and I just and you wrote that like just from traveling to Galway. I just thought that's a great story. Yeah,
So I was on the I was going to Galway for the Arts Fest, and I
mm,
remember saying to myself, I'm not going to write any poetry this trip. I'm taking a break, and
yeah,
I'm just
yeah.
enjoy this bus ride. I'm just going to sit here. I'm going to read a book. And I
Mm.
looked out the window and I was like, oh wow, those clouds are so inspiring. Yeah, and then I could not. Boom, 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 boom. I
Yeah,
started writing. So,
just
and in the
naturally, yeah,
2 hours it
yeah.
was done, and
Great
more or
stuff.
less,
Yeah, that's
it was
brilliant.
done. And yes, it was a fun story.
Yeah, it's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Well done. And were you thinking of kind of putting your poetry into a poetry book yourself, Tash, or we were kind of talking about it earlier on.
Yeah. So originally, when I first sort of started receiving poetry and writing it, I thought, okay, well, I'll put it into a poetry book. But I think as I started to write them, I noticed that like nothing was material. It wasn't like I was really passionate about writing a book and putting it on Amazon as an example. So
Yeah,
it felt like, okay, well, I'm not going to pressure myself into like, collecting them, designing them, putting them on, creating a thing.
yeah,
What I felt more inspired to do is, one, as I said to you, perform them. I love to perform my
yeah,
poetry. So, being able to go to open mic nights, perform them there live, connect with people in their eye, express myself with my voice is really important. And to share them with other people as well. What I've started to do is actually just send them to anyone who wants to receive them via email, because I
great
find
stuff. Yeah,
that I'm constantly creating, and I'm
mm,
also editing them as I maybe like have a realization, or I feel like, oh, that actually feels better or more true to me now. I'll update them. So having something that's a bit more alive and moving, like an email list or something like that, or I can send them to people, you know, for free, you know, that feels a lot more aligned to me. And then people can donate if they want to. If they want to donate, they can donate if they want to do that. But that's not the purpose. The purpose is to share openly, freely, consistently as they come in. You know, that feels more fun to me. So I've got people that I send, you know, I'll be sending emails to. So if you want to be on that list, then I can share that. I can share that link with you, and you can sign up on my website. But yeah, that's it really at the moment.
Yeah, but if ever you do put them in a book, you can share the link for me, and I can put on the show notes for people to find. And then what is your website for people to find as well? What's the website?
Yeah, so it's tashshadman.com. So it's TASH SHADMAN.com, and then and it's /poems, and that's where all my poems are. There's other stuff on my website too about other things that I'm involved with, and I promote and do in the community, but that is that's sort of that URL for the poems. And then if you click on one of the links at the top, you can sign up to just send me an email to say, yeah, I want to receive your poems by email. It's very manual. That's how I like it. Simple. So yeah.
No, I love that. I love what you're saying there. Like, it's something you love doing. So like, it's such a lovely thing to share your work. And I'm sure you get loads of great feedback.
Yeah, I mean, it's been really special actually, because the Songwriters Collective, which is, you know, where I first debuted, if you want to call it debut, on stage at the Songwriters Collective, one of their meetups. It was really nice because I'd never done a performance before, you know. I'd never shared my poetry before really, and I got up on stage and I did my poem "I Wish I Was a Leaf," which is the first sort of poem in this period of my life that I received, and I got such a wonderful response from people. One of the organizers said, I want to record it into a song. I want to record it. And lovely, so like a week later, I was in his studio recording, you know, turning it into a song and recording it. So that community, which I know that you're a part of as well, and you join those events as well, which has been great. Love hearing your songs.
Thank you.
It's super fun. So, you know, being part of that community, and I think being part of any community or any group, which is why I have that email list, right, of people that want to receive your work and that love to hear that, you know, have opted in to say yes, is really, really nice. It's because it's good to get good feedback and encouragement from work that you love to do, you know, because I know what it feels like to sort of just create and then put it on Instagram and you get like 3 likes and it's so soul destroying, you know. So I've had a lot of really wonderful in-person encouragement, support, feedback, and it's all down to the people at the Songwriters Collective, and, you know, Colm Jackson and Tony and you know, everyone really, like you included, that have said, we like it, keep doing it, let's share it more. It means the world, of course.
No, it's great. Like, keep it up. Like, would you mind maybe sharing another one of your poems, the one you just mentioned there, "I Am a Leaf"? That sounds, I haven't heard that one before.
Oh, I can, absolutely. Yeah, it's one of the first ones. So I'll that's it's a special one.
Great stuff, yeah.
One, it's called "I Wish I Was a Leaf." I wish I was a leaf, waving in the wind, with nowhere I need to be. I wish I was a leaf, with no care to compare my green to the other leaves' greens. I wish I was a leaf. I wish I was a tree. I would stand and sway, brushing and being. I wish I was a tree, with no thought to compete for height nor heat. I wish I was a tree. I wish I was a stone, washed without a care, sent to great unknowns. I wish I was a stone, sitting silent with the beach as my throne. I wish I was a stone. I wish I was the sun, shining light and life over everyone. I wish I was the sun. I wouldn't wonder when their love might be gone. I wish I was the sun. Mother Nature, you are so wise. You have so much to teach me. Mother Nature, help me just let go so peace and ease can reach me now. I am grateful I am me, interlaced with life and all that it can be. Knowing I am wild, I am whole, I am free. I am grateful I am me.
Wow, that's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant, Tash. Really good. Some really nice messages there. Really lovely message for people. That's great. Thanks so much. That's what a lot of people need now. Thanks so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. I mean, it helps me too. I read back
Yeah.
on poems as well if I'm having a day and you know, and think, oh yeah, you know,
Yeah.
I have a choice, and, you know, in certain situations, and you know, so it helps me too. So I'm glad that it helped. I'm glad that it connects with you. So
Yeah, great. Like that gratitude thing is a big thing. So
yeah,
yeah,
it
great
is.
stuff.
It's
Yeah.
important. Yeah. Cool.
Mhm. Yeah, no, that's brilliant. Thanks a lot for sharing your poems with us today. It's great. And
Oh, it's fun.
no, great. Can I just ask as well, do you have a kind of a strategy with your writing in general that you use? Like, do you ever, I know like the poetry seems to come to you naturally, which is a great gift. Like, but for other writing, do you have some kind of strategy you use?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say that the process usually goes is that I get maybe I'll receive like a line. So for example, with one of my recent poems, a song doesn't ask you to dance. I got that first line. A song doesn't ask you to dance, you just move when it plays. And I just got that line. And I was like, that's a really interesting idea. And then I might think, okay, what else, you know, is more. So then I'll just be open to receiving, and it's very organic. A lot of the time I receive ideas when I'm walking. Like I'll actually write when I'm walking, because sometimes I find that when I'm sat down at a table trying to create, it doesn't flow as easily, and sometimes I'm trying too hard. So I'd say that sometimes I'll get an idea and then I may be walking and it'll come, and then I might write it down on my phone or write down a notebook, and I'll carry on walking. So I try to just I'll receive an idea, I'll see a concept, or maybe even receive a whole line, and then I do it that way. Try not to be perfectionist, and also
Yeah.
break the rules. You know, there are rules there to be broken. I love to rhyme, so that's something that I personally love to do, but you don't have to. If people want to write poetry that doesn't rhyme, that's okay. I'd also say that if you know, sometimes looking at songs and stripping away the lyrics, and then thinking, okay, this is a structure, I've got an idea, how can I overlay this idea on this lyric structure that's already
Oh wow. Yeah.
existed. So I've actually done that, some of them that are actually other songs, and that their structure just with a new idea overlaid on top of it. So that could be a nice way too. So yeah, that's how I do it, mix and match. But I'd say don't feel forced. Just anything that comes to you, an idea, a concept, a line, just let it flow. Don't put any pressure on it. Let it just come to you. Because when an idea is really good and it's really like, it just flows, it just
Hmm.
it comes out of you. You don't need to work. So it's not really
Yeah.
strategic. What is it? There's a strategy in that I don't have a strategy, or I try not to limit myself. I just try not to try. Do you know what I mean? Like that's sort of the
Yeah.
strategy in
Yeah.
itself. Just let it come. Let it come. And if nothing's coming, that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
But something, if you like doing it, then something will, yeah, I think.
Mm. That's great, Tasha. That's a great. That's brilliant, because it's funny you should say that, because I've written my first children's book as well. Um,
Oh,
uh,
fantastic. That's so fun.
so like I got the inspiration from telling my own children the stories, and then I
Oh,
wrote made stories of them. So it just, like you're saying, if you're trying to, like, oh, why is this not coming out, like, but like it just
yeah.
flows, doesn't it?
Oh, I've actually got a poem on that too, like about, forcing creativity.
Mm.
It's so tempting sometimes, but yeah, like you say, like you already had these stories,
Mm.
and now you're like, well, I've already got them. I just channel them into a different medium, and here they are. Like that's the best thing, because it came from your imagination, it came from your love for your
Yeah.
children, it came from,
Yeah.
the presence that you had with them in the moment. Like that's the best way to create, in the
Mm. Yeah.
moment, in the moment.
Yeah, no, no. Yeah,
Perfect.
great, actually. Yeah, brilliant, brilliant. How did you find the last 2 years? With the hard word, we don't even want to say it, the COVID. With your creativity. Like, did you find it more difficult to write your poetry or your writing in general?
But yeah, I mean, I wasn't really doing a lot of poetry during the pandemic. I was more just doing more like commercial stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, and I actually lost my job, my writing job at the beginning of the
Oh
pandemic.
no.
So I ended up actually launching a candle business. So I was actually making candles and delivering them around Toronto, which is where I was living before in Canada. So I was doing that a
Okay.
lot. I was launching a business during the pandemic, which actually went really well because everyone was at home.
Mm.
Um, and they wanted candles and they wanted to support local business. So it was actually quite a nice project. So I would say that I I found ways to channel my creativity in other ways. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was also in Mexico for half of the pandemic too. And where I was, the rules are a little bit more uh, loose too. It was just more
Okay.
open. So
Oh.
like I said, I was working online in Mexico with companies
Hmm.
in Canada, and it was challenging, not being around like a creative environment as much as, like you're in the office and you're sort of, jamming together and all of that, and which
Mm.
is what I was used to. So it was challenging in its own ways.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but my poetry came, like I said, came later
Okay.
after
Yeah.
the harder, the real hard part was over for people. So it did. I think that a lot of this work came out of
Mm.
the realizations and the growth that I had because of what happened. So
Yeah.
it's a product of what happened of the pandemic versus something that I was doing during.
I understand. Yeah, no, yeah, that's great. And kind of, it was kind of the next question I had, was kind of what kind of kept you motivated, like keeps you motivated in your poetry. I suppose you were motivated by what happened, really, and all that. Would that be fair to say?
Well, yeah, I'm every time I think every time I come into contact with a concept that I think that's a really interesting way of looking at the world, or that's an interesting question, or that's an
Yeah.
interesting thing that I'm dealing with, the
Hmm.
words just come. Like it just comes. Like there was a question that I had. I was thinking about, the world we live in right now, and if we served each other more and gave more versus
Hmm.
asked and took more, the world would be a better place. And I just thought about, well, dogs, why do we all love dogs? Is because
Yeah.
they're loving,
Yeah.
they're not trying, they listen without interrupting. There's so many things that they do. That's the reason
Mm.
why we really love them. And instead of, this whole concept from the poem came from this insight that I had about, like, if we were all like, if we all sort of channeled our inner dog, You know, could we be
Yeah.
kinder people to each other? So you know, it's just things like that. Like some are silly, some are a little bit more, you know, poignant, or a little bit more, should I say, serious. But so it really, you know, it's what inspires me or what helps me in my day-to-day life too.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's where the inspiration comes from, is from my own
Mm.
growth, from my own reflection.
Yeah, no, that's great. Yeah, brilliant. That makes so much sense. Yeah, and how
Yeah,
do you many open mics around the place? You've been doing it for a while. Yourself, Tash.
so I mean, I usually go to the Songwriters Collective every other Wednesday.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then so you can check out when that is, like which Wednesday it is on Meetup, the app Meetup. And then I would say every Thursday, but usually I'm at the Mother Riley's, is it? Is it Mother Riley's?
Oh,
Mother
Mother
Riley.
Riley's. Yeah, Rathmines there.
Riley,
Yeah, I've
yeah.
been there before. Yeah.
Riley's.
Yeah.
Oh, it's great, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a
Oh,
great spot.
I
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
it. And I've not been yet, but I know you've recommended it to me to go to the International Bar on a Monday.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
at the moment, for sure, the Wednesday, every other Wednesday, mostly Thursdays, and maybe Mondays now. We'll see.
Great
But like
stuff.
I said, if you contact me by email, my website, then and you're like, okay, I want to see you, then I'll let you know. Or even as well, like I'd love to start doing like private like event. I'd love to, you know, if you have an event on and you're like, oh, we want a poetry set, you know, we want someone to stand up and do that. I mean, that would be a pleasure. You know, that would be
Great idea.
an honor. So that's also possible too, if there's not, you know, if you want to actually have an evening of my poetry at your event or whatever. That's
Yeah.
even that's even a thing, people. I don't know. maybe it is. We'll see. Maybe
Yeah.
instead of
That's
musicians,
a new
people
thing
have
we could have start. That's a new thing we could start tonight. That's a new thing we've started tonight for people to have. That's great. Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And I suppose what kind of what poets or what writers kind of are your favorite to read? What kind of books do you like reading yourself, Tash?
You know what? I get inspiration from everywhere, not just
Mm.
poets. You know, the world is inspires me. Like books,
Great.
like I just
Yeah.
got, you know, there's a book here, Eleanor Oliphant is completely fine, not poetry, but there are writers out there that they write poetically. The
Hmm.
Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. That book is incredible. So many beautiful. I'm inspired by writers in general, and
Yeah.
life.
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah.
someone I was had a meeting with my spiritual teacher last week, and he said something to me, and I thought that's a beautiful line. It could be anything, really. It's
Anything. Yeah.
not
Yeah.
it's not
Love
just
that.
inspired
Yeah.
by poets. It's inspired by any writers, it anything, like
Yeah.
anything really. So I try not, I try to keep it open to be inspired from anyone and anything really.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
love that. That's brilliant. That's
because
great. Yeah.
anyone
Yeah.
can be anyone is inspiring. Like I wouldn't want people to feel like they've got to be a writer to be inspiring, or to be a
Mm.
musician to be inspiring. Like you just living in your truth, you just living in your day-to-day life, doing something brave, doing something courageous, doing something that is passionate and that you love to do. That is inspiring.
Mm.
That is
Oh yeah.
inspiring. You know, doing a loving act, telling the truth, that is all inspiring. So
Hmm.
that's
Yeah.
what I want to say on that.
No, I agree with you 100% there. That's great, Tash. Yeah, brilliant. Thank you. And would you mind maybe sharing one more of your poems for the listeners, if you don't mind, just for because I
Yeah.
just think they're amazing. They're really, really good.
Okay. How long have we got? We got enough time
Yeah.
for it's not long, but it's long. Yeah, we've
Yeah.
got
No,
a few.
we have 7 minutes or so. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll do this one because I do love this one. And it's called Love is Every Day.
Lovely.
So yeah, it's really nice. So, love is a cat's purr, nuzzling you awake. Love is a smile spread across a friend's face. Love is a laugh that makes your chest shake. Love is every day. Love is a tea made just how you like it. Love is a gift without wanting behind it. Love is a treasure, but all hearts can find it. Love is every day. Love is a deep truth shared from the heart. Love is a knowing that you're safe from the start. Love is a hug that fills in empty parts. Love is every day. Love is a kiss upon your warm breast. Love is a question that opens your chest. Love is a promise to honor yourself. Love is every day. Love is a song that vibrates your whole being. Love is a dance that flows like you're breathing. Love is a feeling you'll just know when you're feeling. Love is every day. Love is a cry of joy and delight. Love is a sorry when you know you weren't right. Love is a thank you for all that takes flight. Love is every day. Love, 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 love. It's right here to discover. Love, 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 love. It lives within your wonder. Love, 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 love. Show it now and often. Love, 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 love. And you will never be left wanting.
Oh wow, Tash, that's brilliant. Thanks so much for sharing it. That's incredible. Really, really good. Thanks, Tash. So I really appreciate you coming on today, Tash. Tash Shadman. Thanks so much. And is there anything I haven't asked you today that you'd like to maybe share with the listeners? Is there
You're a
anything else you'd like to-
fantastic host. I got to say, this is definitely something that you're very talented at. So it's been a pleasure. I feel that you feel, yeah, you're incredible at bringing out the best in people, and a great conversation. And so fantastic. You did a great job, and yeah, really, really well done. And it was a pleasure chatting with you, really. Thank you so much.
Thanks a million, Tash. And thanks everyone for listening to today's podcast, Mark's Motivational Podcast, another Authors Tuesday with Tash Shadman. So once again, thanks a million, Tash, for coming on. And I'm sure we'll have you back on again soon. And make sure if you are going to put a book together, share it with me, and I can put it on the show notes. Okay.
I will, absolutely. Thanks so much, Mark. Really appreciate it. And yeah, thanks everyone for listening. Yeah.
Take care. Thank you. Hello, everyone. Mark here. Thank you for watching another episode of my Authors Tuesday podcast. I recently published a book of children's stories called The Adventures of Larry Lamppost and Friends. The book began life as bedtime stories I wrote for my own children. If you would like to purchase my book, follow the link in the description box below. By buying my book, you are also supporting my podcast series for authors, which is giving a voice to writers in Ireland and across the world.